You hear that? It's like baby.
I hear you.
Zion.
What up?
Hey, look, bro. I already knew I was gonna do real, boy. But you had one, bro. You got one.
That's love right there.
Real, boy. Everybody go through rainy nights. The world gonna feel this one, little bro. You hear that?
Rainy nights go.
Welcome to another episode of Purpose Over Pain. I'm your host, Harriet Williams, number 2. We thank God for you today. Thank you for being in the building this morning. We have a special guest, my friend. She's a little younger than I am, but she's still my friend. She's a baby, really. But we welcome Punkin Harris in the building. Y'all put y'all hands together for Punkin Harris.
Clap for myself one time.
Well, we thank you. First of all, I want to say this to you all, man. Thank you all for supporting Purpose Over Pain podcast. We're seeing some good numbers. You all continue to like, subscribe, tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your friend, your boyfriend, your husband, your ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend. Continue to let them know that Purpose Over Pain is going down. We thank God for all of the guests that were able to come and sit in the same chair and share with us. So we believe that God is going to take this podcast around the world, and so we thank you for your support. But I'm grateful to be here with you today. I'm grateful to sit down with Miss Punkin. Miss Punkin, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing okay. I woke up, so that's the hard part.
You woke up this morning?
That's it, I got up.
Yeah, I see.
That's it.
You looking good? You looking
I'm
good?
trying, they say black don't crack, so I'm trying to make it work.
Yeah, well, we thank you for being here with us today. You got on your little red, got on your little jeans. That's how you doing.
It's for the camera.
Yeah, it's for the camera. Yeah, you east side.
For the camera.
Yeah, you east side down. You east side down. Good to have you in. But Punkin, just once again, like I said, man, thank you for coming and sitting down with us, taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you're semi-retired right now, so we thank you. We know you're moving around. So for those of us that don't know you, our listeners, give us a little bit about yourself, a little background about yourself, your family.
Well, I was actually born in Latavia Harris, but Punkin is the name. Latavia. Don't call me that.
Man, Latavia.
It's Punkin.
Punkin, okay.
But Punkin is what I'm known for. I was raised here out east. 824 East Beaver Street was my address. Been knowing Bishop, it was Harry when we were young. Then it was Pastor. Now it's Bishop. So when I seen him, I was like, hey, I see you on a podcast. You know somebody famous, like,
right.
Put me in, coach. So he was able to allow me to come today. I've been out east. Both sets of my grandparents from out east. Both sets of my parents are from out east. Unfortunately, I didn't get to raise my kids out east. But out east is my DNA.
Out east is your DNA.
That's my DNA.
Now, let me jump in because you said something about Beaver Street. I don't know, and I verify this later.
Yeah.
But you was Beaver Street. We got to check that out and see if that is in the east side, out east zone. But we'll check it out. But we got to accept you now because you've been around.
It was on it's East Beaver. The Jaguars is a parking like that now.
Okay.
But we used to be right on the same strip of Ball's Bar.
Okay, yeah.
And the Line Lighters.
Okay,
so, ain't no more exciting. North America Van Company, the Green Grass.
Okay.
Go to Rock. Azar Sausage.
Okay, all right.
The Gator Bowl.
Okay, but you in now. Okay, yeah. Start dropping some names and let us know. Like I said, you was
I could go back now.
Yeah,
we can
go back.
Yeah, we can go all the way to T-Bird.
Yeah.
T-Bird lived about 4 streets behind me.
Okay.
The Stringfields, we had T-Bird. We used to have this guy on our street called Mr. Beasley. That would be Hamler's dad. We had the Pierce. We had Miss Jones Shelter Care. That was one of our first East Side mental facilities that we had at
East. That's right.
Was Jones Shelter Care, Miss Gladys, Miss Hawkins.
See, somebody told you all this.
No.
You don't know all this.
See, listen,
you know about 37 years old.
But people don't understand we have neighborhoods out east.
Yeah, that's
we
right.
don't have communities, we have real neighborhoods. Right? So in your neighborhood, there was always elders. So, that's what you did.
Yeah.
Walk to the Chinaman.
Well, you certified now.
Yeah,
You
certified. Mr. Stubbs. Certified.
That's right. Yeah. So thank you for that history.
Yeah.
Thank you for that history. Those who want to know some history, y'all come holler at Punkin. Y'all can holler at Punkin Harris. We ain't gonna call her by her real government name.
Please
she
don't
like that name. But thank you once again,
Yeah.
I mean, for just being on the show. We always like to start this podcast out with, you know, this question, you know, when you hear purpose over pain, like what does that mean to you? When you hear this purpose over pain, what does that mean to you? There's no right or wrong answer, just what does it mean to you when you hear that?
So when you hear purpose over pain, as you get, maybe when I was young, I wouldn't understand it would be in reverse. It would be the pain, you know, then the purpose. As you get older, you understand everything that you went through kind of aligns you to be the person that you're supposed to be.
That's right.
I mean, and some roads are not as easy. Some of us take a better path, and some of us kind of take the little bend in the road.
Yeah.
And I'm 49, so this year I'll be 50. So the longer you live, the more pain you experience.
Yeah.
And the older you get, you understand how to deal with it and the purpose of it, you know. So I always start my day off, you know, Jesus, that's my big homie.
Yeah.
You know, God, that's my OG. So that's the first armor I put on every morning. I'm real interested in all type of things. So I kind of understand the Buddhist versions of everything, but don't let me fool you. I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
You know, it's the blood of the Lamb at all times.
You better
for me.
know it.
So
what we're gonna do with that man called Jesus?
what you say?
That's right.
You will call him for sure.
That's right.
And I've been in predicaments where he looked out for me. He
yeah.
came through.
Oh, yeah.
Might have been in the fourth quarter, last shot.
Yeah, he gonna come through.
Yeah, he did that for me.
He gonna come through. And speaking of the purpose over pain, like, what is there a particular thing that you can remember? And I always try to go back as further as as further as I can go, because I always say this, you know, the further we go back, the more truth we find.
Right.
And so, is there any particular time in your life, like with your first experience, that you can remember with pain that you'd love to share?
My first husband and my two oldest daughters, their dad.
Yeah.
You weren't gonna tell. If you would have told me 30 years ago I wouldn't be with him today, I'd have told you it's a lie, or either I would have jumped on. You'd have been one of the two. Then you kind of understand how life tries to redirect you. So I won't say his name, but those of you know, you know.
Yeah.
It was the violence, it was the fighting, and you didn't see it on the outside because we look like your imaginable couple. You know, he's a hustler, I'm a hustler.
Now tell me your age. What was your age then?
Then I was 18.
18. Okay.
17
Okay.
actually when it first happened. And you know, this is something you're going through every day. So it becomes your new normal. I can almost tell you right before he put his hands on me when he was going to do it.
Wow.
I knew it. And my grandparents were born in, again, 1922 and 33. So they had the concept of when you get tired, you're going to get tired.
You're gonna get tired. Yeah.
And you know, my grandfather used to tell him, the way you treat her, I wouldn't eat nothing she could.
Wow.
And I wouldn't sleep nowhere near, because, you know, women, we don't forget. We don't forget. Our minds are like photographic. We can tell you what you had on when you did. Like, that's just how we the prime real. Mm-hmm.
So you was 18.
I actually was 17.
You was 17.
I was 17.
And so that was your first encounter with domestic.
That was my first encounter with domestic at its finest.
Wow. So I hear you talk about your you having kids, but had you had any kids at this time?
Not when it first started. So yeah, you know, when you're young, so like my grandparents kind of gave us. They weren't as strict on us as you know most people.
Yeah, their grandparents, they tired by now.
But yeah, and then I was the house baby, so I was raised in the house. So at this point, they've been looking at me their whole life, and you know, it wasn't until I had children that I understood this ain't really what they should be going through. And we got into a dispute one day, and it almost almost killed my middle daughter, because I just wanted to get away from it. Mm-hmm. And we had, like, it used to be the old cabinet sets they used to have where you could put the cups on top. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I know he's finna do it. I'm gonna pull it down, and I'm gonna get out the door. That'll give me some time to get some help. I'm not even thinking my daughter's crawling. So when it falls down, it falls right over her.
Wow.
And you would think as a parent, the first thing is, let me go pick it up. Because I knew that was it. She was gone. And my oldest daughter, TT, she said, Mama, you didn't kill Piggy. That's what I called her. My middle daughter was Piggy. And then I heard her cry. So when I pulled it up, she was just still in the position that she was crawling in.
Cabinet hadn't even hit.
Yeah.
Fell over.
It just went over. And my grandfather used to always tell us that, you know, we covered my prayers from our ancestors. Like, that's all they've ever done was pray for us. And it didn't stop at that moment. You know, you go back.
Yeah.
Because hey, he gonna change.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So that's what I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
So you didn't, you know, it happened. You know, you experienced it, and you know, you're young. I'm sure that you know you thought you was in love, right? You thought you was in love. It happened, and you go back. And do you remember what was the reasoning of you just going back? Was this something or behavior that you had seen before, previously, that made this be acceptable, or this was all new?
It was all you know. So every time someone tells you they're gonna change, you know, women love how they love. You know, we love differently. You know, we're gonna love all the inconsistencies, and we're gonna always give you that benefit that, okay, it's gonna be better. And my grandfather used to tell me, and I guess older people knew it. He used to tell me, you know, freedom ain't free. You know, money can't get you out of everything. And I used to be like, Mr. Joe, what are you talking about? He used to be like, it ain't worth the 5 cents the bullet cost to kill him. And I was like, what is you talking about? Like, on my mind until that day. And I already came up with a plan. I'm gonna kill him today. Today, he won't make it out of here.
Wow.
And it started with little things first, like, because he had got on drugs. And purpose, God bless the day of purpose. So this particular day, I was like, because he would wake me up out my sleep. Oh, you gonna get in the kitchen and cook me something? I just had a baby. You know, I'm tired. So I had to go to Premier on A Street, where the old pick and save used to be. So they had laxatives, X-Lax, in a box. And I was like, at that time, I didn't care. I stole all of them. So you gonna make me get up, so I'm gonna make you a cake. I'm gonna make you a great cake today. So I remember sitting in the kitchen when I heard him fall. And when I went in the bathroom, I just looked. I was standing on Denise Street. And then, you know, you had the doors with the old keys. So when I saw him fall, I was like, so I positioned my mom's Bible by the door. Because I'm going to climb out the window, make the police think I was never here.
Yeah.
And then
it all worked out.
Yeah, in my mind. So I go home to my grandfather and I sit on the porch. He was like, don't give up your life for him. And I'm like, Mr. Joe, like, is you wired? Like, what you thinking about? Purpose. Found him and called the rescue. So when I got wind, I go act like nothing happened. And I'm like, oh, is you okay? So because he did drugs, they used to put a baby laxative in the drugs that he did. So in his mind, he just was doing too much. In my mind, how did that not work? Like, you definitely should have been dead.
So the laxative was the
icing on the cake?
Yeah, so the laxative, let me follow this. So was the laxative, it wasn't to kill him, the laxative caused you to go to the bathroom. I
thought it would kill him. I thought it would kill him. And, you know, me not being a killer for real.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know.
Obviously not.
Yeah, definitely not. So, you know, I spent a lot of my young years. And then I met my smallest daughter, her dad. And he came from out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. Like, I didn't even see him coming. And I was saying it, cemetery.
So you weren't gonna call names, so you.
Yeah, I'm gonna call his name because he's a great man.
All right, he's great.
So you know, I'm gonna spell it.
So before you get to him, let me go back. Let me go back. So before you get to him, when you were going through this time of violence, right? Were there anyone? Of course, you talked about your grandparents. They were able to see certain things. Were there any friends? Were there anyone that you would confide in and tell them about this? Did all your friends know?
Oh, they knew.
They knew. And so what were your friends telling you at this time?
Well, they were scared.
They were scared.
Yeah,
they were scared for you, or they were scared for
They
you?
were scared because he was so who he was.
Okay.
And that's how me and Tad became best friends. Because one day he took me to the railroad tracks for the Kennedy Center, and Jimmy Hart heard me screaming. I thought, at that time, my arm was dislocated. He tore the tendon in my knee because he used to top of a toilet bowl seat, and I was screaming because I was asleep. So when he woke me up to go get carrot cake doing plus size girl stuff, I got up But because we could jump the expressway, I didn't know it was so late till it closed. And that's how me and Tag became friends. You know, Tag would see me, he saw me with a black eye, and he was like, Punkin, that's not right. You know, that's not. But in your mind, you don't know how to get out of it. So that's why when people see women, they were like, she should just leave. It's not. I had the parents, I had the grandparents, I could leave. I never had to worry about anywhere to stay, but it's your heart that allows you to be, you know, your heart and your mind, they're totally different. You know, they work for you or against you.
Yeah. Were there ever a time, because unfortunately some people feel like if people treat them that way, strangely, they think that is that's love. So was there any time where you felt like, okay, he wouldn't do me like this unless he loved me. He loved me. That's why he doing me.
Oh yeah, that's the stupid stuff to say.
Yeah,
he jealous, girl. You see my eye? He blanked my eye because he thought I was talking to somebody.
Yeah.
And you don't understand that that's not what that is.
Yeah.
You don't know the difference until you become love by someone.
Of course.
To understand that that's not, you know,
and so
the road.
And so at that moment, so this went on for how long?
Oh, Jesus. This went on since I was about 24.
Oh wow! So from 18 to 24, you're dealing with this.
Yeah.
You know, so and I can imagine like the emotional scars that came from that.
Yeah, right? It was. Well, you know, I'm raising girls.
I'm raising girls. And,
so
so they were able to see a lot of this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially my oldest daughter, she did. And the thing was, she loved him because it's her dad. That's you know. Dad. And his family was a little. I mean, well, you shouldn't be with him if he's doing that type of.
Yeah.
My grandmother was like, I'm not going to go to jail because you keep going back.
You keep going back.
Yeah,
that's right.
You know, so you draw that line.
Yeah. And so 24 years old.
Yeah.
Right.
24.
So what was the like the breaking point? Like, you know, like I'm finna come up out of this. Like what was the breaking point?
When we used to stay about 2 doors down next door to Miss Liza in the apartments. And this particular day, I watched him hide his gun in his shoe. So his dad came to pick him up, and Miss Liza made that's cooking, my mom. She come out the door, and she used to hear him fight me over there. So this particular day, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him. Today is his day. I don't have time to be dragging him nowhere.
Yeah. You ain't think about nothing else. You just want to. You ain't think about the consequences. You ain't think about the kids. Or you just want them out of here.
And because you're not thinking.
Yeah, that's right.
I just know the only way this is gonna stop is I need to kill him.
Yeah, I'm trying to get this pain off.
Yeah. Now he was packing his stuff to leave, and it was about first of all you physically and not emotionally scarred me. Yeah, I'm gonna need you to catch one of these bullets. And I remember when I let off the first shot, he rolled up on his car, and I got on my knees. And my grandfather, who never comes out the door, this is about, I'm gonna over-exaggerated, maybe 10, 11 o'clock at night. My grandfather goes to sleep 6 o'clock. And he comes out the door with his robe on and his house shoes. And my aunt was on the tree, like, just give me the gun, like in a hostage situation. And Miss Lalame was like, kill it. I got you, kill it, shoot it. And my grandfather said, I can hear my granddad saying, don't give your life away.
Yeah.
He ain't worth it.
Yeah.
Let him go about his business. And that's what spared him.
Wow.
And that day he kind of understood.
Well, shout out to grandpa.
Yeah, my grandpa, he was, because he knew it, because I done took so much of it. And then you have to wait on them to find somebody else. Like, please, Lord, let somebody be in love with him.
Yeah.
And then they'll go to the next one.
Yeah. So you shot at him. He get away.
I go to jail.
You go to jail. Okay, you go to jail. So someone did call the police.
I don't know who called the police, but they showed up.
Yeah, they showed up. You went to jail. And so you go to jail. And how long did you go to jail for?
I was only in there. Here's the thing. Judge Brad Stinson, my guy. Judge Stinson let me out because I had all these other police reports where he broke my arm. And I remember him telling me, today you're a victim. If you go back, you're a volunteer. And I'm going to give you the rest of your life in prison if you kill him.
Wow.
But Brad Stinson, the Honorable Judge Brad Stinson, and he showed me a poster. At that time they were showing posters of a guy who got shot and his lungs was hanging out. And it was probably a little more gruesome, but it worked. And you know, Judge, and he let me go.
He let you go.
Because he knew he's looking at, you know, but I'm the one, that's when you could go to state attorney and sign him out.
So there had been documented cases
Yes.
where you actually
Yeah.
went and filed
'Cause
charges.
my mom would
against
put him in jail.
Okay.
By my grandma. And then I go right down there and get him out.
them. Wow.
Every time.
I love make you get right on out, huh?
Well, that's what you
That's what
pursue
you
to
think.
love.
Oh yeah, of course. That's what you
Yeah.
think is love. So you trying to get him out. You don't want your
Yeah.
man locked up. He gonna do
Well,
better.
he on the phone talking.
He
I
talking
know
real
I'm
good.
change.
Yeah,
That
I'm change. You know,
sound good.
You know, I ain't really need. I ain't really mean to do this. All of this stuff.
Well, you made me do it.
Yeah, you made me do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I made my eye hit your fist.
Wow. Wow.
That's no lie.
And so now the judge, he let you off. You out now. I mean, so now what? You out now.
So now
Are y'all done now? Or?
yeah, so I get out and I used to walk. I walked over the vat from the jailhouse. Judge Stinson let me out. So I walked over the vat to the jailhouse. I remember going home putting a perm in my hair. And he wasn't talking to me because he had already had a new girlfriend. Which, I mean, you know, there's a part of you that hurt.
Oh, yeah, of course, of course.
And
it's all you knew for all of those years.
yeah. So I happened to be on 8th Street one day. And I met my last daughter, her father, Sammy. Keep in mind, I don't know this Sammy Dredd. He's like 5'3", you know. So, you know, in our minds coming up, Sammy was this big, you don't know.
Yeah.
And he see me and he say, hey, baby love. That's why he used to call me baby love.
Oh boy, that gal right there.
Right, so I'll just be laughing at him every time I went that way. Because now I'm making it my business to go that way. And I don't know who he is. I just
Baby
know,
love got you. I just want to understand.
yeah, I felt something.
And you
right?
and you smile because you know what the saying is. If you grin, you in. You already know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what it was, but it just killed my heart when he was saying it.
Yeah.
So then you find yourself, I live way on off the avenue. I'm going towards 8th Street because keep in mind at this time, I didn't know who he was, right? Because he told me his name was Stanley, which in real life is his name. And I didn't know he owned a restaurant. I didn't know any of those things. So he would come, then I moved on 16th in Phoenix. So he would come pick me up and we would, go out. And we wouldn't go out in public places because he was Rasta. So he didn't eat meat, he didn't eat meat at all. Every weekend he fasted, he did his Lent. I mean, he was just, I had never met that. He was older than me. He was born in 63, I was born in 75, so he was in his 30s. And then I didn't like him at first. I was like, he's not the most, he didn't think he was the cutest guy in the world. And one day he kissed me. I don't know what happened. The next day, I was in love with him. No, seriously, we had not done. No, like literally, he was taking me I could remember it like yesterday. And I just knew he was my person. Because I had never met anyone that cared enough about me. Like, he's going to call you every day. He's going to call you before you go to sleep. He's going to pray with you. Like, because I was, in the times I would go out of town with him, he prays.
Wow.
Like, this man is on his knees every morning. He don't talk to you until he prays.
So it was easy to get over your previous relationship.
It was becoming easy.
It was becoming.
I was still, my grandmama said Jimmy Mackie.
Yeah.
Doing the back and forth.
You're doing back and forth.
Right.
Yeah. You still, because you're attached over here.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you got something fresh over here.
Correct.
Right? And so I'm sure that your previous relationship, I'm sure he was saying all the right stuff. Did he know that you?
He didn't know at first.
He didn't know at first.
He didn't know at first. He thought I was still in the dumps where he left me.
Okay.
So people come back and they're like gloat for that.
Yeah.
And then I just started being, I started understanding the Rastafari religion and why he didn't eat meat and which is not separate. He reads the Bible. Like I never met a man who's opens up the Bible every day and reading.
Yeah.
And the book of Job was his favorite book, and the book of Psalms, that was his favorite.
Wow.
Yeah. Job was his man.
So you get your mental back right, all of this stuff.
Well, I'm not understanding because God make men like this, like really, ain't short. So yeah.
So his audio and his video matching. I always talk about that.
Yeah.
Not only what he's saying, what he's doing is matching up. And so now you getting healed again. You getting your swag back.
Yeah.
You getting your swag back. And so how's the relationship now? What about your daughters? How were they with your somebody that's not their father?
Well, first, because I was raised, you don't just have little girls, so you don't just let them see you with men.
That's right.
And he was very charismatic because of how his life was. So he always provided for them. You know, he always, and I used to just, you know, at this time my grandmother's passed, so I was already suffering a big loss from that. You know, the one person in your life that makes life so much better. I can't even remember if I even ever told her thank you. Like all the stuff she ever did, it wasn't until she's laying there. And I just talked to her that morning, and I never remember saying thank you. Like you just assume they do these things for you. Yeah. You know, everybody grandma was supposed to live till like 200. Then you died. I can
at least 250. Mine died. Yeah.
So I meet him doing that, which was.
So that was a painful moment for you as well.
And it's still like I still see her. I still go talk to her because like that's my grandparents were. My grandmother was the first woman I loved, and my grandfather was the first man I've ever loved. So, because that's all I know. You know, my parents were younger. You know, when I was conceived, so I've always been there. You know, I've never been anywhere else but with Hannah and Joel.
Wow. So let me ask you this: since you're talking about your grandmother during the time when you and your first husband, you all were going through it, did that somehow like breach? Was it a break into your relationship with your grandmother during that time? Because what was she saying during all of this time?
She hated it because I stopped coming around.
Okay.
So she knew something was going on.
Yeah.
But you know, she's also know that my grandmother mentality was like, I could get that gorilla about him. You know, but I'm not gonna put myself in a predicament for you to just keep going back.
Yeah.
So I would say
relationship was breached as well. So yeah.
And my grandfather, you ain't gonna worry him.
Yeah, you ain't gonna worry him. He stay in his lane. Is this what you want? That's on
just
you.
Keep doing it.
Oh yeah.
When you get tired,
you get tired, you'll come up out of here. Wow. So now you swinging forward. You got your new relationship now. You got your new boo. You know what I mean? So you know, in building that relationship, you know, during that time, like, were you monitoring like your mental as far as like how you handle men now based on how you were handled by you?
Wait, here's the difference. When you meet a man, you would handle him like a man.
Yeah. Okay.
You would talk to him like a man.
Okay.
You know, so I didn't know the difference. You know, I got little boys, like, you know.
Yeah.
Like you don't understand until you meet a man. You know, with somebody that's gonna wake up every day and put you first. Like, gonna wake up every day just to make sure you're okay.
Yeah.
And you know, I was already missing my grandma, so you know, I still miss her now. She's been gone since '97. So, you know, then you meet somebody that makes everything in your life understandable.
Wow.
Like all the stuff you went through, it was to lead you to just meet this one person.
Wow. So he became he became the standard for how men
Still to this day.
Still to this day. Yeah. So you know, being that you're out of it, you got a new man now. Did you find yourself at any time, any of your girlfriends, any of them going through it, and you telling them, hey, listen, this is how it's supposed to be?
No, because it was unbelievable.
Wow. Like,
this can't happen to me. Like, I already had this thing over here.
Yeah.
And we were kind of like, because he's not a very flashy person. And that's because at the time of his lifestyle.
Yeah.
And, you know, we hadn't got to the point we always was out of town because he had a home in Miami. And I've never been anywhere where, you know, just the way he wakes up and he prays. Like, we're not waking up doing nothing, we're going to pray. During his Lent, those 40 days and 40 nights, he ate once a day. He didn't smoke weed, you know, during his Lent. No, you know, sexual anything because he believed in what he believed.
Wow.
Yeah, God was like the head of everything that he did.
Okay.
And you didn't have to like detour from that too much.
Wow. That's amazing. Listen, we're gonna come right back. We're gonna take a break for a minute. Purpose Over Pain podcast. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share. Pain, I just want to just let you all know real quickly. Listen, we try to promote all of our brothers and sisters who are doing good business. My friend Joe Chappelle has a new book out called Life and the Times of the Real Billy Ray Valentine. Make sure y'all go and get it. It's on Amazon. Joe Chappelle. Make sure y'all go out and support him. Also, make sure you all go out, continue to support Bless One and Bless Two out on Amazon. And also our friend Sharon Rogers, she has a book as well. Make sure you all go. For those of y'all that have already gone out and purchased the book, make sure you all go. Hannah Secrets in Savannah. Sharon Griffin Rogers is out at Barnes & Noble as well. But we're back in the building with our guest, Punkin Harris. Well, we thank you for being here, sharing with us this powerful story, being able to God being able to bring you out of this domestic violence situation, cause you to see someone or to be in a relationship with someone that's loving you, that's trying to show you something different, and that relationship. How long did that relationship last?
From the time we met to the time he was killed, a year.
Wow.
A year.
So this guy comes to your life, y'all in a relationship, and he get killed.
So, leading up to that, he always was very himself. Mm-hmm. And I had a dream the week before that my oldest two children, baby father, was dead. Because I used to see his house from the expressway. And I remember in the dream, his car would move, and I remember going to his door. And I was like, I looked in and I could see the blood on the living room floor. So I called Sammy. And I tell him, he was like, no, baby love, that means more life for that person. Don't worry about that. I didn't know the following week that'd be Sammy on the living room floor.
Wow.
Dead. Wow. I didn't know. Wow. You know, I wasn't, and I was supposed to be with him. We were supposed to go see the movie The Perfect Storm. And I overslept. When I woke up, he was gone. So I called him, I'm like, you left me? He was like, no, baby love, because that's it. I'll be back, you know. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to send Brother B to give you some money for you and the kids to go eat. I was like, okay. Now this time I'm pregnant. And I just told him maybe 2 weeks prior.
Wow.
And I was like, in that time, I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't have, you know, because this man goes through so much, just providing for everybody. And he was like, yeah, if you think I don't contribute to that, you know, God gives life. So I'm like, okay. And I go eat, I come home. That's when you had the call ID was on the box. I go through the call ID, no phone call.
No phone call.
So I'm like, automatically, I'm used to doing something you're supposed to. About 12:30 that night, I get a call, and Magnum calls me and he say, the youth killed him, he gone. But I'm like, yeah, I know he gone, he's out of town. And they say, no, he's gone.
Wow.
And it was a scream. And I mean, even to this day, like, you meet people that you love so much. Like, he's been dead now 25 years.
25 years.
And when I tell you, I still love this man. Like, he was so much to me.
Wow. Wow.
And so when I have my daughter, it's not the same, you know, because she didn't get to see her dad. But then you have my other two kids, their dad. Such a horrible person. And God gives him the way where he can stay alive. And you know, I feel more upset because I wasted so much time on this man that I overlooked this man. And it was only a year between the time we met, and we have a daughter, she's 24. So he's been dead 25 years. So my grandfather died that June, and then he died that July.
Wow, wow.
And
just and you how old at this time?
At this time, he died in 2000. So at this time, he died when he was 36. So that means I was 25,
wow,
26.
25 years old. And that's and that's one of the things that I love about the Lord, that God would not allow any of us to leave this earth before he allows us to be able to see his love, right? You actually, you coming out of a relationship, coming out of a marriage that's not going well, and then horrible, but God allows you to see and to experience what real love's supposed to look like, right? And you get that moment, and then all of a sudden that moment, boom, taken away from you, right? And as you said, I know you went through like, why him? You know, why?
No, I still, even all the way up until I had to see him, like, I understood what they told me, but I needed to see him. So this is how life works. Me and my cousin, y'all say, we're loading up to get ready to go to New York for his funeral. She gets a call, her 10-year-old brother's dead. So she can't go. Her brother, somebody let him drive a car, a pole fell down on the car, he's dead. Keep in mind, I just lost my grandfather. In June, he dies in July. So I go to see him, because I just need to see him. Like, if I see him, you know, I know I could get him up, because I know he's not dead. So.
This is what you're telling yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I go stay with Brother B mom, and she tells me, she said, you cried in your sleep all night. Because there's a part of you that just want to wake up. And this isn't your new normal, you know. And on the way, the first baby dad, he stops by my house. And he said, I heard what happened, and I'm sorry. And I'm angry, because there's no way God left you to do absolutely nothing, to be not a good person, and took him. And he revealed to my aunts that it was the most hurtful thing. Yeah, it's not the most hurtful thing to you. The most hurtful thing is I'm pregnant, you know. And during this time, my daughter was a twin. So I would miscarry one of the twins. And this is all I have left. You know, this is all I have of this person that's left. Wow. And I go see him in his casket. And everything about him was just so special. And I stayed till all the dirt was on him. I didn't leave because it's still that I'm going to wake up.
Yeah, you didn't want to release him. Yeah.
And it's not him. I still love him to this day.
Yeah.
Like, I still remember him. I still have his pillowcase. I still have a pair of his shoes.
Wow.
You know, I still, because it's, when people say you get a soulmate, that's a real understatement. And you only get one of those.
Yeah. You think you only get one?
Yeah, you only get one.
And you had yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So doing this, he dies. I have my daughter. I got a federal indictment growing up. And so it's all coming down like at one time. And
you got a federal indictment. The people wanted you.
Yeah, they was on their way. They just didn't know when. They was coming, you know.
The people wanted
Yeah, they was on their way.
Punkin, the people wanted
Yeah, they was on their way.
They was on their way. Yeah, so you ain't have a whole lot of time to grieve because you got to worry about them three letter people.
I'm still grieving.
You still grieving,
grieving.
and you grieving because them 3 letter people want you.
But you know what? So after we buried him, I come home. A year passed. His brother Jesse and I threw a party for him, and I was just so worried. My daughter Sanji almost lost her too, and I dreamt him. He was like right there, like I fell asleep and he was standing there.
Wow.
And he was so beautiful. Not saying he wasn't beautiful then, but you know, and he was like, baby love, I'm gonna blow good wind on you. You're gonna be okay. And I kept asking him, are you coming to get me? He was like, no. But excuse me, when it's your time, I'll be there. And I asked him, did he see my grandma and my granddad? And he said, tell me their names again. But the whole time I'm trying to pick up the phone to tell somebody he's in my living room. And I wake up. And that day I felt so much better. Because he kept telling me, you're not smiling. So then I called his brother Fat Man. And his brother said, I just dreamed Sammy. And I was like, because I haven't even told him.
Wow.
He was like, and then Brother B called. And he said, yo, I was in the pool drowning and I reached for Sammy and he wouldn't pick me up. So he's like making his rounds because my heart was broke.
Wow. And
you know,
all of this was helping you get through the broken heart.
I'm still broken hearted.
Yeah.
That's why, you know, I've had relationships since then. I got married after then. I might have stayed married 6 months because there's a standard now that's been set. Yeah. And when you don't reach that standard.
So he made it bad. He made it bad for the other guy.
Well, what he did was, you know, people say they have love and not have. I'm in love. So if I never experienced that again, I'm cool.
Wow.
Life is good. I'm okay.
Wow.
You know? And then I have my daughter. She's his twin. So you can't stop looking at him because.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask. You know, when your daughter was born, did you start seeing like him and your daughter? That helped.
So I read Buddhist books. So when they teach you about the Dalai Lama, they teach you that it's people that experience the same thing as the death of the last daughter-in-law. So I'm watching her. When she probably was 2 or 3 months, and he had this thing he used to do with his fingers, suck his teeth. She's 2 or 3 months. She's in the picture and she has the finger. And as a child, she would always look over my shoulder and smile. And I never did bad as I could have done. So, you know, those prayers. So I don't know, you know, it's hard because now you're looking at the purpose, right? The pain is gonna always be there. So you gotta shift it. So I get my indictment. I go to prison.
Back up now.
Yeah.
You come out of indictment. You get an indictment for what?
Taxes.
Taxes.
Right.
Okay. You get an
Taxes.
Taxes. Okay.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
I go to prison. And prison wasn't the worst. I don't even consider that pain. You know, I was away from my children. But when you in there with people who ain't never coming home, yo.
Yeah. So you had a date. You was in prison, but you had a date.
I was coming home.
You was coming home.
I was coming home. So, you know, my kids experienced some of the difficulties because I wasn't there. But those are, to me, I met Bo Lazoff in prison. So he comes and, you know, he's a Buddhist. And he shares us with this book called We're All Doing Time. One of the best, well, second to third best books in my life. And in this book, he's teaching you that we're all in prison. We all have mental chains on, emotional or physical. It's just where you allow your mind to take you. So I'm in there and I'm going to make the best of it because I can't go home. You know, I'm grieving my grandparents, my daughter's dad, my kids. And that was, to me, God saying, you see how this happens? So when you come home, you got like you got some sense, right?
Yeah. So that was the beginning of, you know, the true healing. You know what I mean? The true healing of God allowing you not only to be away from your family, but also be in a place where you can actually listen to Him. Because a lot of times we go through stuff and life just keep on, as they say now, life just keep on life, and then sometimes God allow us to just be still. Like the Bible said, be still and know that I'm God. And so He allowed you to be in prison. Now you can't get to nobody, and there ain't nobody really but you and Him.
That's it.
Yeah. Just
And a be still word is simple said.
Yeah.
So Bo Lazoff we have a meditation part. So we're meditating. And I'm sitting and you gotta stay focused. My back itching, my arms itching. So he hits the little bell and it just makes this singing noise. It's like stay focused. So we all finished all this spell. Somebody gotta go to the bathroom, we hungry. He tells us, now stop telling your child to sit down and be still. Because that's the hardest thing to do, is to be still with yourself. To sit in a room with just you and your thoughts and have all million of them coming across your mind, but you just focus on one. So, I mean, because that's what Jesus did, right? At points where he would meditate. So,
my God. He would withdraw. He would withdraw by himself. He needed that time with the Father, and we all need our time with the Father. You know? And so you in prison. How long did you do in prison?
29 months.
29 months.
So,
okay,
29
months. You get out. What's the Punkin now?
So I get out
with clarity.
My friend Jerome Hill, Tag.
Yeah, Tag. Shout out.
He did it the old-fashioned way. Tag sent me money every month. And I wasn't even in there too much worried about money because I was in federal prison. So you're not ill-treated. You know, you're not like treated bad. So I get out and I
still don't want to go there, but you ain't treated.
No, but sometimes that's part of your journey.
Yeah, that's part of the journey.
You know, because I met some people that influenced me.
Yeah.
You know, no one wants to be there.
Yeah.
But what you gonna do?
You gotta make the best of your time.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, ain't nothing illegal till you get caught doing it, right? So I get out of prison and now I'm changing the product. You know, I'm not paperworking no more. Yeah. I'm working.
Yeah, you're working.
You know, I'm just changing the product. Still making good money. But I'm doing it the right way, you know, and I'm watching my girls to be able to put my middle daughter straight through college. My oldest daughter live out her dreams. All my kids are products of me, you know. So
by the grace of God.
Every time.
Yeah, by the grace of God.
Every time. Every time. But I'm still defining my purpose.
Yeah,
you know, you still like, you don't really know, it just starts happening.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. I like that because some people, they feel as though that they got to be able to say, okay, here's my purpose. And sometimes folks don't find out what their purposes are until they, 40, 50 years old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a process, and we don't know, and only God knows that, and we got to hook up with Him to be able to see that. But to say I don't know what it is, I like that honest statement. You know what I mean? I don't really fully know what that purpose is, because it seems as though it changes, but it don't change. It's just that we don't know it. God know it. You know what I mean? But He allows certain things to happen to get us to that point. So now, you're working, you got your kids, like the self-care stuff. I heard you say that, I've learned how to, I've been loved before. So if I don't get this no more, I'm straight. Right.
Good.
And so the self-care stuff, what's the self-care stuff that you can like lend and give advice to any women out there saying, hey, this is what has to happen?
My advice would be your relationship with God.
Yes.
So, like, I don't, everybody's relationship is different.
Yeah.
When I talk to God, I talk to Him just like I would my homie.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how He's been there for me. You get some people that they kneel. When I talk to Him, I be like, yo, like, what you got going on, God? Like, so you want to help me out? So, right. So, but I also learned things. He put me in a position to travel.
Mm-hmm.
And the Dalai Lama has a book. Keep in mind, I say this. It's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost at all times for me. But it does still, you don't have to be ignorant to other things that get you to where you need to be. And so I go to Thailand and I get to see monks, right? And I get to sit with them and talk with them. And, because ignorance is bliss. So they're like, Buddha is not a God to us. Like, we know who Jesus is. That's just the person and they make you understand suffering will happen. The longer as you live, you will suffer. That is life.
Yeah.
If your hair is black.
The Bible tells us that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? For we all know the trials and tribulations are appointed to us. So we know the trials going to come. And so we know that. And you made a statement that all of us have different routes. And I believe, those that will be saved going to be saved. And sometimes God allowed them to go through different journeys. And the older we get, we see that. We see that God allows people to go through different journeys to be routed to Him. And so you say you went to Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, so to being able to go to Thailand and just see stuff open up. Do you think that your relationship with your former boyfriend, your baby's dad as you called it, do you think that you being in a relationship with him, did it open you up to other stuff?
It did, because again, remember, he's Rasta.
Mm-hmm.
So Rasta is a verge of Christianity and Judaism, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I would have conversations with him, why he didn't eat meat? And he's like, read the Bible. Show me where God ate meat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because it says thou shalt not kill. He didn't specify what not to kill.
Mm-hmm.
And, we could all negate the fact on what that means, but he just chose, what goes in you, what comes out. And so now you kind of I want to kind of know more about different things.
So it piques your interest.
Right.
Yeah,
because I know what God is to me.
Okay.
And I know what Jesus has done for me.
Yeah,
but I want to respect what He's done for everybody else.
Yeah.
And no matter where I go, they know the King of Kings. They know it. Like, you just see it media-wise. Even with the Dalai Lama has a book called See Yourself As You Really Are. And it means when you buy a Benz, the Benz costs 50 grand, but it has no value until you're in it, because you're the person that holds the value. And you make the car expensive. So that's one of those things that I do. Like, when I talk to God, people are like, I don't really need to see you on her knees. You don't be knowing. Because I probably don't shed as many tears as anybody else. But I don't know what my plan is. I just know I have today. Yesterday was guaranteed. If I get up tomorrow, we're going to make it happen again.
We'll make it happen again.
Yeah, we're going to make it happen again.
Father, we'll make it happen again. So let me ask you. So the young lady that's in a terrible relationship right now, where people putting their hands on her, she keep going back, she keep going back. Like, what would you tell her, right? What would you tell her, or a man for that matter? Because men get beat up too. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, y'all don't get beat up that much. But
Men
y'all don't get beat up that much. But y'all being, I would just say.
What would you say to her? You know, and she like, you know, well, you don't understand what I'm going through. This guy, he paid my bills. I'm used to him. He da da da. What would you tell her? You know, you had one thing to tell her that could possibly bring her out. What would that be?
She got to trust God.
Gotta trust God.
She got to trust the process. You know, and she has to do it. And I don't mean to physically hurt anyone, but I didn't know what my process was. You know, everybody said, "Hey, move, get out."
So what's her first step? Her first step is what? Her first step would be to what? Just
get a better relationship with God.
Okay.
And then you ask Him to move certain things out your way.
Yeah.
But you got to be careful because when you ask Him to do it, you never know how He's going to do
Yeah,
it.
that's right. You better know.
Yeah, you don't know how He's going to do it. You know, you don't understand it until. So that's why I have like a very understanding with domestic violence because people look at me like she's stupid. She should have been left him, but you don't love him like she does.
And then the thing is, you got to realize that you know God have something better for me. This is not the life I'm supposed to live. Right?
No.
You got to realize that. You got to that somebody putting their hands on me don't mean that they love me. Right? You got to know that. You got to know that this is not the will of God for my life. You know. And sometimes folks don't know that because they don't have a relationship with God. That's why it's so important to mentor people. It's so important to go talk to people who are going through something that you're going through. And so, along the way, have you had any mentors, young ladies who were dealing with this same stuff?
So let me say this. Like even with my daughters, it don't even get a start because, and I thank God for that. Like my girls haven't been through that because I know the signs. You know, I could see it when it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And the outcome won't be the same for my daughters. Because I don't have that. My mentality shifts differently. So I probably shielded them from that in my own perspective when it comes to that. But let me say this. I think what most women think that God's just gonna pull up to the door and blow the horn and be like, come on,
get out of here.
Yeah, you know, it's hard.
Yeah.
You know, and some of us don't make it out. Or when we do, we either in prison or we're dead. Because you're fighting a demon, and and that's just all accountability. So if you don't have armor and you're fighting the devil, what you gonna do? You're gonna lose every time. Yeah. You know, this man had a seat at the table before too. So when you even now it's been 25 years. I don't even speak. When I got a divorce, the judge was like, "Well, we had to figure out child support." No, and it was hard for the magistrate judge. He was like, "Well, that's what we do." No.
Wow. You didn't want to know.
I've never got anything. I put my girls through college, myself, me and God.
Yeah, you and God. Yeah. Wow. So you just wanted totally out of it.
Even when I see him today, I like I've never seen him in my life.
Wow.
And he's doing what my grandfather told me. Leave him where he at and come back in 20 years. He's still gonna be right there. He's still right there.
Wow. So let me say this in our few minutes. You know, if there's someone that's out there that's listening and listening to you, and they saying, "Hey, man, I need to talk to her. How can they find you? How can they? You got any social media handles, anything that they?
So the easiest way to find me is being on platforms and having open discussion. So when you have a platform or a forum like here, this is the place you have discussion because me talking to you is one thing, but other people hearing us talk is different. So I mean, I would just ask them to get in touch with you. We set up a conference where we can talk, whether it's openly or with the first lady. It doesn't make a difference, but I can tell you anything on social media. I can make your mouth fried chicken on social media. Until you have to look someone in the eye and know they're genuine about it.
And that they want to come out. Because some people say
we all want to, but it's their heart. It's a joke or not. It's a two-headed spade.
But listen, man, I appreciate you coming to sit down and talk with us, and I just want to say to all of the listeners to let you know, listen, that and I said this before, God loves you. Don't let nobody tell you anything different. No matter what you're going through, no matter what you're experiencing, I want you to know that God loves you, and if you call on Him, He'll answer you. So I want you to be encouraged, and we thank you all once again for tuning in to Purpose Over Pain. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, go to our YouTube page. Make sure you go to Purpose Over Pain Pod. You can email us that Gmail. Also go to HLW2 and make sure you can put on all of the episodes and go to Spotify. We love